Hello there students, welcome back to this video series. This is your instructor Dhruvi Bhatt and today we would be talking about 10 different principles of economics. Before we dig into details about these different principles of economics, let us first try to understand what exactly is meant by economics. Okay, we would be studying about the perfect definitions in just few more videos, but before that, I would just like to clear the concept a little bit before you understand these principles. What is meant by economics? Let me ask you 3 questions. First question, let us say there are 15 computers in computer engineering department of LJ and there are 30 faculties. We need to assign these 15 computers among 30 faculties in such a way that they can share it properly. Is it a question of economics? My second question is, let us say that I have every day 8 hours of work day. In that, I need to take 4 lectures. When to take which lectures and when to assign my break time and when to carry out my research work for the lectures. Assigning the proper timings. Is it a question of economics? My last question. Say my salary is about 30,000 rupees and I need to purchase my needs and wants from this salary. How to make sure that all my needs and wants are satisfied using this amount of salary? Is it a question of economics? To the last question, you all would have answered that yes, it is a question of economics, but to the previous two, I think you were in a dilemma. The correct answer is all these 3 are questions of economics. In contrast to what you might have been thinking, economics is not only study about money or related to money, but it is a study about scarcity. More importantly, how these scarce resources are used to fulfill unlimited needs and wants. The resources will always be scarce. My salary of 30,000 rupees is scarce for my needs and wants. If my salary would raise to 50,000 rupees, it would be scarce. If it would raise to 2 lakh rupees per month, then also it would be scarce. Resources are always scarce and its usabilities are always unlimited. How these scarce resources fulfill these unlimited needs and wants and uses is the question of economics, is what economics tries to solve. Let us try to understand some of the principles here and let us enhance our knowledge of economics. This is your instructor Dhruvi Bhatt, starting firstly with the principles of economics which talk about how people make decisions. Our first few principles talk about the concepts using which people make decisions. First and foremost, the principle says that people face trade-offs. As I told you, the resources are always scarce. Because the resources are scarce, you will always face a trade-off between this and that. As she is facing a trade-off right now, she just has $800 on her and she has 2 options. Either she can change her car tires or she can go for a vacation. She needs to make a decision where to use these $800, which is her priority. But if she changes the car tires, she has to let go of the vacation for now. If she decides to go on a vacation, she has to let go of the car tires and wait till a later date to change those tires. So, just like her, we too face trade-offs. We have limited income and unlimited needs and wants, and how to fulfill those needs and wants will be dependent on this trade-off. People are generally part of a society. Because people face trade-offs, society on the whole also face trade-offs. One of the most common trade-off of the society or of the government is between guns and butter. This is a very important trade-off faced by the government, where government has to decide whether to spend more money in strengthening the military or the power on the borders of India, or whether to spend more money towards the consumer goods for its citizens. So students, here the trade-off is whether the government should spend more money towards purchasing weapons or spend more money towards manufacturing of consumer goods. Both the sides, it is the scenario of life and death. If our army is not strong enough, then other countries might attack our country and it may lead to war which we might lose. On the other hand, if government does not produce enough consumer goods, people will die of hunger. This is much more difficult dilemma than car tires or a vacation. This is what society face, this is what government face. So, government money also faces some trade-offs. One more trade-off that government faces is the trade-off between efficiency and equality. Here the government constantly strives to maintain a balance between efficiency and equality. What is meant by efficiency? Efficiency means doing more work or getting more output with less input. If I tell you that my Activa is efficient, it means that it gives me higher mileage. It means that in less petrol, it travels more kilometers. Similarly, if in less inputs, if more production is achieved, then it is known as efficiency. Here the trade-off is between efficiency and equality. Why so? The people who are efficient will obviously earn more, because in less expense they are gaining more production and therefore they are earning more. But what will government do? It will take away the money in form of taxes from those people who are earning more and distribute them amongst the people who are earning less to maintain the equality or equal distribution of income in the country. In turn, what happens is efficient people would thus be demotivated because they have to spend most of their money in giving out the taxes. They will have to suffer, they will have to pay the price of being efficient. Not fair, right? If government will not maintain equality, then would it be fair? Each and every sector of the society must be treated equally and must gain equal amount of commodities, equal access to commodities. The society faces this trade-off too. Moving forward, the second principle says that the cost of something is what you give up to get it. In making decisions, you must remember that the cost of a particular item is not only the direct cost or the directly visible cost, but it is also the cost of something which you give up to get this particular thing. If that girl does not purchase the car tires, does not change the car tires right now, then there is a possibility that she might meet with an accident or her car might be more damaged before she decides to change the tires. So, a bad decision of taking a vacation right now would cost her much more. I'll give you a little example here. Suppose I have a class of 20 students. One girl, Mansi, she is a very brilliant student and she is offered an internship in summer in a reputed company. That company is offering 25,000 rupees to her for a summer internship. All the other 19 students of the class have decided to go for a Dubai trip in summer. Mansi is feeling left out. She thinks that I too want to go to a summer trip. I too want to go to Dubai for this trip. But the cost of Dubai trip is what for her? For everyone else, the cost of Dubai trip is say 2 lakh rupees. But for Mansi, the cost of Dubai trip is 2 lakh rupees plus 20,000 rupees which she will let go by letting go of the internship. So, she has to incur an additional cost of 20,000 rupees and for her the Dubai trip will cost her 2,20,000 rupees. She has to make a decision keeping in mind this cost. On one side, she is earning 20,000 rupees with no inherent cost. On the other side, she has to pay 2,20,000 rupees. Which would be a better decision? Let Mansi think that. Moving forward to the third principle, rational people think at the margin. Rational people are who? You would be thinking it is an idealistic condition. No students, you and me, we all are rational people. Let us take an example to prove this. Let us say that there is an airlines containing of 200 passenger seats. The cost of taking the airlines from source to destination is, say for example, 1 lakh rupees. Because there are 200 seats and the maintenance cost of the airlines is 1 lakh rupees, then it is obvious that per seat should be at least charged 500 rupees to break even, and the ticket must be costing more for making profits. I hope this much is clear to you. Now imagine there are 20 empty seats and this flight is going from Ahmedabad to Bangalore. Okay, there are still 20 empty seats in the flight. There are 2 passengers standing at the Ahmedabad airport. They talk to the airline manager that we want to go to Bangalore, but we can only pay 400 rupees. The actual cost of the ticket is 1000 rupees as per the airline manager, but these 2 people offered him that we are ready to pay 400 rupees per head, which is 800 even rupees, and we want to go to Bangalore. Should the airline manager take up these 2 passengers or not? Think about it. I think he should take them, and I think many of you also gave me the same answer. Why so? Because we are rational people. We tend to think at margin. Though I explained you in great detail that the cost of managing the airlines, the cost of taking the passengers from source to destination is 1 lakh rupees, and per ticket cost must be minimum 500 rupees, only above that it is profitable. I explained you everything. But still, we agreed on the point that the passengers offering 400 rupees should be taken. Why so? Because we tend to think at the margin. What is the additional cost of taking up these 2 passengers? The flight is already going from Ahmedabad to Bangalore. There are already 180 passengers in there. There are 20 seats empty. Right? So, filling up 2 extra passengers would cost us nothing or a negligible cost. But in return, we are getting 800 rupees. We were getting 0 rupees if they are not traveling, but if they are traveling, we are getting 800 rupees. So those 2 passengers must be taken because on a margin, the decision is profitable, isn't it? So students, we tend to think at margin, and we here are rational people. We make decisions on margin. Say for example, I am running an organization. If I want to hire a new employee, I would not calculate everything when I am hiring a new person. What are the current number of employees? What are they paid? What is my profit? What is the production of each and every person? What is the per unit charge? I'll not think about everything. I'll just think about the cost and benefit of hiring that one extra person. At what cost I am hiring this extra person, and how much extra money will he earn for me? If that extra money increases the cost or increases the income that I have to pay him, then I'll hire him. As simple as that. We tend to think at margin. This is what the 3rd principle says. The 4th principle says that people respond to incentives. We do, don't we? We do respond to incentives. There is an Independence Day sale. Whether we need something or not, we just scroll through all different applications in our mobile phones to check out the prices. And of course, the prices are so lucrative that we end up purchasing many clothes and many electronics which we didn't need on the first place. We tend to respond to incentives. If we are given a discount, we tend to purchase more. Similarly, there is a negative effect of incentives too. You would have imagined this on your own, I guess, that why the prices of liquor and cigarettes or tobacco are high. because government levies high taxes on them, because they want these high prices to demotivate people to purchase such products. So whether it be positive effect or negative effect, but people do respond to incentives. We tend to make our decisions based on incentives. Work for an extra hour, you will get additional 1000 rupees a day. Wouldn't you work? Yes, you would. This is what human nature is, and this is what is exploited by the different economists. These were the principles which talked about how people make decisions. Let us move further and talk about how people interact with each other. Obviously, we are not alone in the economy, so only us making decisions wouldn't make a lot of amount of difference. Other principles are based upon how people make decisions when they are interacting with others, and how do they interact with others. The next principle, which is the fifth principle, says that trade makes everyone better off. Oh yes. Again, in contrast to what you would have thought that, ma'am, trade would make us weak. In trade, there is always winning and losing. One of the trader wins and the other person loses. This is entirely a wrong concept. Trade, on the other hand, is always a win-win scenario. Let me give you an example. Suppose I am manufacturer of cold drinks. One fine day, if I wake up and think that I do not want to be dependent on trade, I do not want to be dependent on other people for all my other requirements. Say for example, I'll manufacture my own computers, I'll manufacture my own tables, I'll manufacture my own soft drinks, I'll manufacture my own wafers, I'll manufacture everything what I need. I'll grow my own vegetables. I'll do everything on my own. I do not want to be dependent on trade at all. I do not want other traders to earn profit. I want all the profit for myself. Will I be able to earn the profit? Obviously, I lack the expertise for all these different products. I lack the economies of scale. I lack the general ability to manufacture all these products, because I cannot be the jack of all trades. That's what the saying goes. You cannot excel in everything, and that is why let those people who are expert at making those things make them. You just provide soft drinks because you are master at that. Let those who are master in manufacturing of computers sell computers. You just buy from them. It is beneficial to both of you, because you can manufacture cold drinks at a very less price and they can manufacture computers at a very less price. Trade makes everyone better off. Thinking that we do not want to trade with other international countries at all will again bring us down. There cannot be a world without trade, an economy without trade. There will always be people who would be selling something at a lesser price than you can afford, and instead of manufacturing on your own, it would be better off if you buy from them, because they are using the specialized materials and their expertise and their experience. Moving forward to the sixth principle, please read it carefully. The principle says that markets are usually a good way to stabilize the economic activities. The principle says that market on the own stabilizes all the economic activities. It runs on the own. Say for example, if there is a sale on apples, then many people would come and buy apples, so quantity sold would increase. On the other hand, the farmers would not be ready to sell it at a lesser price at a sale, so after a point of time, they will start storing these apples and they will let the prices go high. At that point of time, they will take out the apples from the storage and put it on the counter to sell. So how many apples to sell when is decided on the own by the producers. How many apples to buy when? At higher prices. Obviously the consumers would be reluctant to buy. On sale, they were very happy to buy. So at what price to buy how many apples is already decided by the consumers. There is no need of other economical intervention or government intervention in this market because the market is automatically balancing itself. There is no need of any third person to inform or tell them anything, whether they are educated or not, whether they know the economic balances or not. They stabilize the market on their own. But please remember the term usually there. Markets usually stabilize on their own. What if they don't? For that we have the next principle. Government can sometimes improve market outcomes. When these markets cannot stabilize themselves easily, at that point of time governments will intervene and they will stabilize the economy. When such type of scenario occurs, in two cases. The first case, when there is a rise of externalities. Externalities means someone who is external to the market. If they are affected by the market activities, then government will have to interfere. I'll give you an example. Say for example, there is a chemical factory. It releases its chemical waste in a nearby water stream. This stream is utilized by the nearby villagers. Now these villagers are neither producers of chemical nor consumers of chemical, and neither they are employees of this chemical factory. They are someone external to this chemical market, but still they are affected by the chemical market. This is an externality. Here the government will put its step forward. It will go to the chemical industry and tell them that they need to pay an environmental tax, and government will make sure that the water stream in which they are throwing out their wastes is cleaned out for the villagers. So at this point of time the government will interfere in the market. The other scenario where the government will interfere is when someone is utilizing their market power to create monopoly. If some producer or some player in the market increases their market power and tries to create a monopoly, there is a possibility that they might exploit consumers. At this point of time, government will again interfere. Say for example, when there was a start of COVID situation or COVID pandemic in India, the COVID tests were charged very high, and also it took a very high number of days for the results to come. Government interfered here and told the private organizations that you can conduct COVID tests only at this particular amount. Either this or less than this, not more than this. It specified an upper limit so that these medical giants wouldn't exploit the consumers. This is where the government intervention becomes necessary and government does interfere. So, many a times market works on its own, but sometimes government will need to deepen to improve market outcomes. Some of our next principles now would be dealing with how the economy as a whole works. We talked about personal economy, how I make decision. We talked about how we make decisions together as a society when we interact with each other as producers and consumers. Here now we will talk about how the country make decisions, how the nation make decisions, how the entire economy works. Here we will be talking about our country. The next principle says that a country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services. Obviously, The more goods and services you produce, the better would be your standard of living, and the more your currency would be appreciated. Our political leaders are not mad. They are promoting Make in India. They are giving different subsidies, not for free or not just to showcase something, but because they know this fact that the standard of living of any country will totally depend upon how much goods and services it produces and it sells. If you produce more goods, you will be able to fulfill the needs of all your citizens. Along with that, you will be able to give out the goods and services to other countries. You will be able to do exports. If you will export your commodities, the demand of your currency in the foreign market will increase, and this will lead to appreciation in the value of your currency, and this will lead to improvement in your standard of living. That's right. So make sure that you make in India. The 9th principle says that prices rise when the government prints too much money. Wouldn't have government thought that there is an easy way to eradicate poverty? Just print more money, give and distribute this money amongst all the citizens of India, and it's good to go. No, students, it will give rise to inflation because value of money would decrease. Why so? Because imagine this scenario, government printed too much money. It sent an envelope full of 10 lakh rupees to each of your houses, even to my house. In my account, there is an increase by 10 lakh rupees. I'm very happy because without toiling hard, without making these videos, I earned 10 lakh rupees for free. Oh wow. But this will create a bad impact. Why so? I'll not save this 10 lakh rupee in my bank, will I? It's my long-term dream to own the latest iPhone. I'll go to the market and purchase that phone. Right now, its price is about 92,000, but the stock is less. So the shopkeeper tells me, you will have to pay 1,50,000 for this iPhone. I'm ready to pay because I have the money. I have an additional 10 lakh rupees in my account. So I am ready to pay 1,50,000 rupees for a phone which is costing just 90,000, and I know that. Even then I am ready to pay because I have the money. Just like me, all of other people will go out to the market and they would be ready to give out high prices for commodities costing less. And this will lead to inflation. The value of money would decrease. Everything then would be thus priced very high because you and me are ready to pay high. We are the cause of inflation, students. Inflation occurs, people charge more because we are ready to pay more. Because you have the ability to pay more. Think about this scenario. Before COVID, sanitizers were very cheap. But nowadays, sanitizers, masks, all the COVID-related medicines, they are too pricey. Why so? There is same ingredients and same production cost, but still they are charging high because people are ready to give high amount of money. This is where the government will fail. If the government prints too much money, it will lead to rise in prices and decrease in the value of money. So this is a very bad decision. Moving forward to the last principle, the society faces a trade-off. A short-run one, but it still faces a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. Okay, students, as I told you, we are the causes of inflation. Inflation occurs because we are ready to pay more. Why am I ready to pay more? Because I am employed. That's right. Because I have the money, because I am paid money. That is why I am ready to buy products at whatever price is asked. So if there is too much inflation in the society, the government will try to reduce the jobs with people. It will try to create unemployment. It will try to make sure that less people get money. For that, they must be fired from work. This will lead to decrease in inflation because now people have less amount of money, and that is why they are ready to pay lesser, and that is why it will help in decreasing inflation. But on the other hand, if people become unemployed, they might not be able to afford the basic necessities of life, which might lead to hunger and death. So, government can also not make everyone unemployed. This is a trade-off. If they want to decrease inflation, they have to make people unemployed, and if they want to increase employment, they will have to face the problem of inflation. There is a consistent trade-off between both of these, and so running a government is not anyone's cup of tea, is it? On that note, I'll end this lecture. Thank you so much for patiently hearing to me. This is Dhruvi Bhatt signing off. Until next time, bye-bye.